What's up, y'all? It's Bluth Banana 97, and today I wanted to talk about internet debates and just the general characteristics as well as the toxicity of debating on the internet. And the reason I titled this video, it's like we finish each other's sandwiches, is for two reasons. When it comes to internet debates, people like to interrupt each other and not listen to the other side. And then the second reason I titled it that was because when it comes to internet debates, not only do we like to interrupt each other, but we like to interrupt each other while misunderstanding the other side's point that they're trying to make. So yeah, I think it's an appropriate title. And if you look on like Twitter or YouTube comments or TikTok comments or even like the content themselves, like the TikTok videos, the YouTube videos, Twitter videos, Facebook, whatever, right? Anywhere on social media or on forums on the internet. Whenever people get into internet debates, there is a lot of, devolving into bad faith debates as well as straw man arguments and, red herring arguments and, terrible, debates and a lot of toxicity. Now, I think the reason the internet enables, this kind of toxic debate is because, there's no way to regulate, preventing people from interrupting each other, right? And there's no way to, moderate the debates. Well, I mean, there are some ways, like you can retroactively like ban certain people or remove certain comments. And like in most forums, they have certain rules, obviously. But that being said, there's still, the moderation tools available to moderators are just not very complete, right? And the whole nature of the internet is to, at least when it comes to the debates, is to say a viewpoint and then see if people agree with it or not. Now, that is not just specific to internet debates. Obviously, regular debates have that, but with the internet debates, if you share a take that is commonly accepted, you are more likely to get likes. And if you share a take that is a bad take or a controversial take or a take that is not as readily accepted yet, then you are more likely to get dislikes. Now, here's the problem, right? I think it's human nature to have a hard time listening to others as well as understanding differing viewpoints. I think it's human nature to want to defend our viewpoints as well. When we feel they're being attacked, even though other people may just be giving their own viewpoints, we may take it personally and feel that we are being attacked. And I am nowhere holier than thou, right? Because I've also engaged in stupid internet debates, and honestly, I always end up feeling worse at the end of it, right? And other people, I imagine they feel worse. And when you get into these internet like debates, especially when it gets super toxic, everyone just feels worse at the end, and no one changed anyone's mind, right? And so that's the thing, right? Internet debates are starting to they're already set up to be very toxic, but the nature of these debates, they're starting to get more and more popular because obviously the world has a lot of issues, so we need to talk about them. But the way that we are approaching talking about these issues is just, it's set up not in a very good way, because on both sides of any issue. Well, first of all, the fact that there's two sides to most issues is kind of absurd, because, you know, most issues that haven't been solved yet are pretty nuanced, right? So there should be more than just two sides, right? But that's another topic, right? So, but when it comes to issues, right, you generally, a lot of people fall into two sides of the issue, and on either side, people have, in a way, thought leaders, right? So like figures like, all right, let's talk about like liberals and conservatives, for example, right? Liberal media has, you know, certain people that they appoint to debate their side, and conservatives have certain people that they appoint to debate their side as well. Now, when I say appoint, I don't necessarily mean like they literally vote for these people and say, okay, you guys debate for me. Well, they do in the government, but I'm talking about internet culture, right? When I say appoint, it's more like of an indirect appointing, where these people on either side gain followings, and then, you know, they become popular content creators, and because of that, and they espouse their views and have a lot of people agree with them. So then, you know, the more and more popular they become, the more exposure they get, and their views get exposure. And then they get invited to debate people from the other side who also have big followings and stuff like that, right? So, yeah. And because these people tend to, you know, be aligned with one side or the other, they don't really come into these debates with the hope of opening their mind and learning something new. Rather, they come into the debates with the hope of either trying to shut down the other person, or you know, disprove the other person's argument, or try to make some viral clips where they own other people, because at the end of the day, many of these people are content creators, right? So, yeah. So, and then here's the thing too, like, a lot of these people, they can sound very intelligent in their debates, and sometimes the more intelligent you are, sometimes you can actually have a more close-mindedness in a sense, because when you're super intelligent, you know, sometimes you may feel that you can rationalize any viewpoint that you have and justify any viewpoint that you have, instead of seeing your blind spots and the problems with your logic or the flaws with your viewpoints, right? And the internet doesn't really allow for much nuance, right? Because, yeah, I mean, that's just the nature of it, right? And then obviously the nature of statistics themselves, you know, statistics are obviously facts, but when they are missing context, people can take different interpretations from the same fact. Like, for example, right, if I said a new medication to cure cancer worked 70% of the time, most people would say, wow, that's the best medication we have so far of curing cancer. That is excellent. But what if, while that is a fact, what if I then told you, but the other 30% of the people who took the medication died way quicker? Then that would suddenly change the picture, right? So isolated statistics can be weaponized and used without context to, you know, inform people's opinions, and unfortunately, you know, create interpretations of the facts that aren't necessarily true. So yeah, I think the fact is, right, it's human nature to defend our viewpoints and not like to be wrong, right? And I'm not saying I'm not guilty of this. Of course I'm guilty of this. We all are, right? We're all human beings. So two things that come from that. Obviously, when you're talking with someone on the other side, even if you 100% believe you're right, maybe you should recognize that they are human beings. So they're allowed to make mistakes sometimes, right? And be wrong. And also, you should recognize that you are a human being. So even though you may be 100% sure you're right, you could be wrong, even if you don't want to acknowledge that, right? And that's the thing, like, everything I've said in this video, I could be wrong about too, as I grow and learn and gain more information and decipher more facts, as well as gain more experience and speak to others and learn from others' experiences, I'm gonna update my views, right? So what I believe now will change in the future, right? So that's the thing, it's hard to say that I'm 100% right on anything, honestly, so now and then some philosophers will start to talk about, there's, objective reality, or maybe reality subjective. I don't want to get into that because I'm not too educated on, the nature of reality. But all I can say is, if reality is objective, I don't personally think that humans can fully understand the nature of objective reality. And if reality is subjective, then I also think that because reality would be subjective, then as humans we don't share a common reality. So my point is, either way, whether or not reality is objective or subjective, none of us is 100% right at anything, really, and we're always going to grow, or we may not grow, we may stagnate, but either way, right? Eventually things will happen that may change our minds if we have an open mind, right? And I'm not saying you should always have an open mind on every single thing, no, but what I'm saying is, you may think you're right at something, but you probably aren't. Honestly, you can't ever be 100% right on anything. At most, you can, be less wrong and, continue to be less and less wrong. So I think, as humans, we're very arrogant. We're all very arrogant, me included. In fact, me especially, right? We're all very arrogant in the sense that, we don't like being wrong, and we think we're right all the time. And we base our so-called rightness on experience and isolated facts and statistics that we didn't get with proper context, right? So yeah, because of that, we can get inflated by false knowledge, and get our egos inflated by false knowledge and become very arrogant. But anyway, all that's to say, right, this is what causes a lot of the toxicity in internet debates. And I wanted to also talk about, this is why we don't really do a good job of listening to others, right? Other people may make valid points, but we may come from the perspective of, no, their point is not valid because it's not my point. Or maybe, they have a valid point, but their whole argument is trash, so we should just ignore their valid point. Or maybe we come from the perspective of, I don't want to recognize their point is valid because it's attacking my views, or something like that, right? So, and we may get defensive, and we may become insecure about our viewpoints or their viewpoints, or just insecure about our identity as well. And here's the thing too, right? When a lot of people trust your opinion for whatever reason, let's say you're a content creator who does a lot of debates and you have a big following. When you have a big following, you start to get the identity of, I am a respected thought leader on many issues. So then you start to get even more in your ego and defensive, and you don't allow yourself to be wrong, right? or you don't allow yourself to recognize you're wrong because you have a reputation of, oh, I'm a respected thought leader. I have to constantly uphold that. I cannot slip up at any moment, right? So because of that, it becomes it becomes pretty toxic, and in a way, I don't blame them too much because it's just human nature. But what I'm saying is, the bigger of a content creator you are, the more humble you will need to be and recognize that, you can be wrong. And the more you need to listen to others, and the less you would need to debate your own viewpoints. That's my opinion, though. Maybe I'm wrong, right? The whole video is talking about how we could all be wrong, and maybe I'm wrong. Or maybe at least I'm not 100% right? I could be like 40% right, or 50% right, or wrong, or whatever, right? But anyway, that's my short little rant or thoughts about internet debates. Honestly, I prefer conversation over debates, but who doesn't? Everyone does, but it's human nature to sometimes, when we get into disagreements, to not work it out by conversation and instead to debate. But that's why, people argue in general, right? So it's sad, but we have to fight that human nature and, try to think a bit slower and carefully to know when, our human nature, or the bad impulses part of our human nature, is taking over or hijacking the better impulses of our human nature, the more rational impulses of our human nature. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Take care.